What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mr. JT's, and I'm back with reaction videos. We're gonna be watching "I Was Buried Alive" real story. It was by Teen Stories. It's a 10-minute and 15-second long video, so yeah, more reaction videos. Plus, I got some changes, got some dreads, see that lit. Yeah, let's just watch this, and here we go. Sheesh.
Hey everybody, my name is Anna, and I want to share
Anna.
with you my biggest nightmare which became a reality. You know, it's kind of trendy today to have challenges, like 24 hours in a coffin, being buried alive and stuff. And I really
Okay.
was buried alive, and it wasn't a challenge. Honestly, it wasn't cool at all. I grew up being an
Yeah, why would it be cool? You're getting buried alive. You can be easily forgotten. You could rot to death. You're gone. Being buried alive is not cool. Who said it was cool? Whoever said that was cool is sick. Sick to the bone. Sheesh.
extremely sick and weak kid. As far back as I can remember, I would spend most of the year in hospitals, being treated for some sudden colds, flus, or other things. You can just sneeze on me, and the next day I'll be in a hospital. Even the most harmless sore
COVID. Oh, sorry. I got a little COVID stuck in my voice.
could turn into real killing monsters in my body. If an average person is bitten by a mosquito, he scratches the bite and goes on with his life. If I'm bitten by a mosquito, I get 6 months of malaria treatment. I had VIP service in the hospital, but my immune system was still weak. I also had some vaccinations because I had all kinds of sores. When I was 5, I tried strawberries for the first time and found out I was allergic to them. I was in the country.
Bro, it must be rough being allergic to strawberries, because strawberries they're pretty tasty. As Demon would say, they're pretty crunchy.
With my grandma at the time. It was hard to get proper medical care there. Luckily, my mom was nearby, and her magic first aid kit helped
Oh, nice
me.
mom.
She just gave me an injection, so it was okay. At 10, I had a terrible pain in my stomach. I took some pills, stayed in bed, but after a couple of hours, my temperature rose, and the pain was unbearable. The doctor said it was appendicitis, and I was immediately taken to surgery. Seems like nothing special about it, but still. The operation lasted over 8 hours. While I was lying there waiting for the pills to take effect, common appendicitis suddenly turned into periodontitis. My appendix burst right on the operating table.
That's
I didn't
so
see it,
tough.
but the surgeon was cursing loudly, and my mother was crying. But it turned out okay. The only thing was, I had to stay in the hospital for a whole month because of my 33 misfortunes, pain, temperature, and stuff. When I was diagnosed with cancer at 12, my parents weren't even surprised. I thought my body just decided to end it all and liquidate itself. The doctors didn't give me any guarantees, but they still prescribed treatment. So that's how I found myself in a special hospital block with cancer kids. It wasn't my first hospital
Okay.
room, but in that very place, I suddenly realized what death was. Many of my roommates passed away right in front of my eyes. Yesterday, we played together.
Okay, that must be traumatizing. Having people die right in front of you, having all these diseases and cancers and stuff as a kid, that's really rough. I could not relate.
Today, their corpses were put on a buggy under colorful sheets and taken to the morgue. I got used to it, but I realized I was terribly afraid to die. In such places, kids entertain themselves as much as they can. In our room, the most popular stories were about kids who were buried alive and later woke up in a coffin, suffered, and died without oxygen. Well, there were some other hospital horror stories, but all the stories about waking up after death.
That is retardedly dumb. If I was with my friends and they said that, I'd be like, oh nah, heck nah. I will not be buried alive. No, I don't trust. Even if they're like my closest friends, I would not trust it. That's not happening. Being buried alive, bro. Think you're underground, 6 feet under, no oxygen. The only oxygen you get is in the coffin. There's nothing else you're gonna get from that. What kind of fool, what kind of idiot just does that? That's their fault. I'm not gonna even feel bad for those kids. Like, that's their fault. That was their decision to be buried alive. That was their decision. If it was like, if you were kidnapped, if you were getting kidnapped, I can't pronounce, and then just like put on the ground, then that's not their fault because they couldn't do anything to stop it. But if you're doing it on purpose, if you give consent, then that's their fault. So you shouldn't feel bad. That's their fault. They're just being stupid. Sheesh.
Really terrified me. This death row was my home for 6 long months, which passed for me like years. Not because it was a creepy place, and not because I was sick and stuff, but mainly because of the atmosphere. Moreover, the medical treatment was very painful. That time I even wrote a will with clear instructions on how and where to bury me. In the end, by some miracle, I managed to overcome the disease. I was bald with holes in my head, but I was alive and somewhat healthy. So I returned home. Maybe, for the first time in my life, fate suddenly gave me my luck back, and my body started focusing more on survival rather than getting new sores. I'd never been so happy. Of course, after such an experience, I had a long recovery, but I was able to live on. And you know what the strangest thing was? I stopped being sick. Even the flu didn't bother me for the next few years. For the first time in my life, I felt like a normal person. I made friends and went to a real school.
Don't say anything yet. When did this come out? Like 2019. So that is several months before COVID. So I want to get your hopes up. If you catch COVID, she's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go outside. I'm not gonna get sick. I'm not gonna wear a mask. Get sick, then it's gonna start over, and the cycle's gonna start over again. That's gonna be so tough, bro. Like, come on now.
Instead of being homeschooled, I know it may sound crazy to be excited about school, but when you only have 4 walls or a hospital, any step outside of this comfort zone is a big thrill. When I first came into the class, I had visions of fireworks accompanied by a full orchestra. I lived a life of an average teenager until I was a senior. I tried to make up for my previous imprisonment. I dated boys, tried alcohol, partied, and even smoked cigarettes. I'm not proud of this.
Alright. Cigarettes can weaken your system, okay? They can weaken it. Your immune system. They can weaken that. Can it? It probably can. And so can alcohol. Like, it's like she's begging to get sick again. Like, come on, think about it. She's begging to get sick again. Like, how dumb are you? Like, I know you're trying to have a little fun after being in imprisonment, after being in quarantine for the longest time, but you gotta think smart. You're not even 21. You're like 18 years old, aren't you? You're so stupid, bro. She's so dumb. And smokes cigarettes? Why are you doing that? You're not even stressed.
But honestly, it was cool and it made me feel alive. My parents were terrified, but they could understand. They only gave me one lecture on sex and started giving me more pocket money for contraceptives. Yes,
don't give her money.
I had a few boys rather early, but I can't say I loved anyone. Sex was something like good alcohol to me. Until I met Matthew. Matthew was a student. He was really fun and just a cool guy who made...
That dude is giving me a smirk that I just want to slap myself with. Don't look at me. I don't like that face. He's freaking me out, bro.
Managed to help me build a new world. He took away my cigarettes, ended my partying,
yes,
and quickly became my new family.
That's good.
It was too early to talk about our wedding, but we spent most of our time together.
That is a good boyfriend.
One day, I suddenly realized I was pregnant. I told Matthew and my parents, and we all decided that I should have the baby, but the doctor who checked me into the hospital was strongly against it because of my health. But I decided to try, and most importantly, my family was happy and they supported me. I was 18 and thought I could handle it. The only thing that wasn't okay was that we had to move to a nearby town where Matthew had his own apartment. With a baby coming, we couldn't afford to rent a house. We were both just students, and we didn't have any extra money. My parents were happy and loved us, but we wanted to live separately. This story happened to me after we moved. The fact was that my boyfriend didn't know the details about my childhood. I didn't tell him anything about the cancer at all. I often stayed...
You know, before you start having sex or anything, you might want to talk about the diseases, the terrible, terrible illnesses that you had back in your day. You might want to think about that before having a little fun. No more monkey dancing in the bed. No more monkey dancing. That's enough monkey dancing in the bed, okay? That's enough. Sheesh, bro, are you that stupid? She's older than me, but I think smarter, even though I'm really dumb. So don't don't comment about how dumb I am in the comment section, please.
home alone. I did the
I would delete
housework
it.
and remained silent about my experience. I didn't want to worry him. My pregnancy was difficult, and there was the threat of miscarriage several times. He was afraid to leave me for more than a couple of hours at a time, and with my brilliant health history, he would probably strap me to a bed and constantly watch me. I mean, really, he would. I only know from Matthew and my parents what happened to me that day. Matthew came home. He wanted to have a meal and go to work. I was supposed to be doing laundry, and there I was lying on the floor next to a basket full of wet clothes. He immediately called an ambulance, but then realized I didn't have a pulse. The doctors arrived. They verified my death and took my body to the morgue.
Oh, this is what they meant when she was buried alive. I thought they were doing it as a game. Well, actually they were, but she wasn't doing it. Alright, smart girl. Alright, that's good. Sheesh, bro.
Matthew rushed to call my parents, and they immediately came and brought my official will, which I had written when I was 12. Matthew later admitted he was very surprised at my childhood stories. In my will, I strictly demanded that my body was not to be touched after my death. I meant no autopsy, and not to bury me in an ordinary coffin. I wanted cremation instead. It seemed incredibly
Why?
important to me, especially after all I'd heard on death row. There were too many stories about zombies and pain even in the afterlife. Doctors adhered to my will and didn't perform an autopsy. They just left my body in the morgue for a while. Then they gave it to my family. Thank God there was no cremation. There was no crematorium in our city, and dragging a corpse to the Capitol to burn it, well, not so much fun. Anyway, I was buried. Later, I would thank my lucky stars. Maybe it's because of my cancer
Sober?
experience.
No.
Anyway, they put a cell in my coffin. They even charged it and put a SIM card inside. That saved my life. As you might have guessed, I
Smart
woke up in the
people.
coffin. I just opened my eyes, and it looked like a bad horror movie. The sides of the coffin, uncomfortable pillows, and a lack of oxygen. I started fumbling my hands on the bottom and found a cell. I can't say how my family felt when they...
Quick, move, please. You gotta be quick. Quick, call your mom, call your boyfriend, call anyone. You gotta be quick, bro. Quick.
got a call from the underworld, but thank God my dad picked up the phone and rushed to help me. It was a long time before I was dug up. It felt like several days had passed, but in reality, it was just 8 hours, I guess. 8 hours of pure hell in a coffin, with no way to move or breathe, with the walls pressing against me, and pictures of people being buried alive flashing through my mind. In that moment, I didn't go crazy only because of my natural stubbornness, although I came really close to it. I used my phone to see what was going on around me and listened. There was no sound but the crumbling soil. I tried to knock, but I broke my nails and hurt my arm. I tried to scream just to break the silence. You know, it's not like the challenges. When people decide to experiment with being buried alive, they know for sure that they will be dug up later. I didn't, but of course, they pulled me out, and they sent me to a hospital where I was stuffed with sedatives and passed torturing tests. Everyone was trying to figure out what triggered the lethargic symptoms similar to death, but they couldn't find anything. Unfortunately, I lost the baby. Matthew had to leave, although he didn't want to, but I didn't want to torture him and myself. I didn't want to die again. I also didn't want him to see it happen again. He couldn't.
You goofy goober. Can't be having kids and not have kids. Like, bruh, you had cancer. You can't be having kids like this. A silly little girl, especially at 18. Like, stop, my guy. Stop.
Stand it. Now I'm recovering and trying to make a fresh start for the second time. I don't understand the games fate plays, giving me hope and then taking it back again. You think it's cool to be on the verge of death for the second time and stay alive? But what's the point if at any moment it can happen again and I would be on the other side? I've read many books on philosophy, esoterics, and the meaning of life now. Not that I believe them, but I even went to a fortune teller in the hope that someone could explain what was happening to me. The fortune teller said that I had a special mission in this world and that I had to understand it. I think she just fooled me, but I keep looking for the meaning of my life. Write in the comments if you're interested in such mystical and philosophical things. If you know where to search for this kind of information, please let me know. And guys, You need to
Okay,
live in the
please
here
stop.
and now, because tomorrow may never come.
Alright, guys, that's my reaction video. I will be making more in peace. Asking math quizzes where I don't even know what 9/11 is. I'm an idiot, I am such an idiot. Bro, I'm a loser, I am such a loser. I'm a poser, I'm a big poser. I'm a goober, I am such a goober. I am so naive, the girl I ever liked sounds too nice. I was heartbroken, but I acted okay. But what on the inside, I was going through some deep emotion. I just wanna die in an explosion. Lil' shawty said I needed to get some help, but I can't control who I am. He never hurt me so hard in my life, but I will accept.